Okay. Okay.
It's Podular. Welcome back, folks. Thank you so much for joining us again. This is episode 54. It is Thursday, November 6th. Boy, do we have one in store for you tonight. We have another installment of the Artist Spotlight series. I'm pumped to get an interview for that one. Before that, we're going to go over some quick announcements. Got some tour dates to go through from STS9. But without further ado, bringing my co-host, Mr. Scotty Fuller. Scotty, how we doing?
How we doing, buddy? Doing great, man. Fresh off of some exciting announcements. We got into some last week with the Colorado takeover that we're getting into in January. And before we get into our artist series, they gave us one the day that we dropped that we didn't have a chance to get to. A little addition to the southern dates that we've been getting sprinkled on us for the last couple of weeks. Nate, do you have that announcement in front of you?
Another 5-nighter here. Man, they're giving you an opportunity to get back to these 5-night runs. We might be getting a little bit old for that, but I know a lot of people who are listening are pumped about that. Yes, we are February 24th back to Pittsburgh. It's been so long since I played Pittsburgh at the Roxy Theater. February 25th in Charlottesville, Virginia at the Jefferson Theater. A lot of storied
I was about to
STS9
say, a lot of good
moments
nights
in
there.
there. Cat's Cradle on the UNC campus in Carborough, North Carolina, right next to Chapel Hill on February 26th. And then bringing it proper, 2-night run at the Eastern, February 27th and 28th with Lotus opening. My goodness, it's going to be an exciting year for STS9 in 2026. So, yeah, that's all we'll talk about that here today. So we have a very special guest here, Scotty. So do your thing, man. Give us an intro here.
Yes, sir. The first time I was made aware of this artist was literally minutes before I had the pleasure of seeing STS9 for the first time. I don't think I can point to a night of music in my life where my perspective has been changed that much. And I remember walking away thinking two things. One, that's my favorite band I've ever seen. And two, who the hell was that saxophone player? Uh, Back when you could count the amount of electronic producers that were playing an instrument on stage with one hand, Dominic Lalli has always been one of those fingers to me. For over 20 years, Dom has been a staple of both the jam and electronic music scene, whether it's a member of the Motet or one half of the prolific Big Gigantic, or is the lead of his own jazz quintet when he's getting bored with those other two, there really isn't a corner of music that Dom hasn't touched. In addition to all that, he might know a thing or two about STS9. Big Gigantic was signed to 1320 for their first two albums, and Dom holds the distinct honor of having sat in more with STS9 than any other artist. So joining us today, welcome, Dominic Lalli.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it so much. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man. We are honored.
Could not be more excited. So let's get right into your background, Dom.
Yeah,
So
sure.
um, start here. Walk us through your earliest musical memory. What instrument grabbed you and
Mm.
why?
Earliest memory, probably piano, just be having a piano at the house. I grew up in Las Vegas, so I had a piano at the house, and my mom always just always took us to church, and she sang in the church choir, and it was like that. We did that every week, and then we had the piano at home and kind of started piano lessons, which I didn't love, so I didn't like a lot of kids, didn't really stick with it, but I have a vivid memory of my mom like putting the sheet my way, being like, hey, like band, sixth grade band, do you want to like do something? Like she passed it over to me, and I was like, cool, yeah, I'll try band. Signed up for saxophone. Walked in the first day to band, and there was about 25 alto saxophone alto saxophonists, and then there was like three tenor saxophonists, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go. I'm going over to the tenor saxophone, where less people are going. Um, and that just kind of started that, and went all the way through music school. Ended up getting my master's degree from Manhattan School of Music, and living in New York doing jazz stuff for a while, and then was like broke jazz New York jazz saxophone guy, trying to figure out what to do with myself, because I was literally like on the verge of homeless in New York City, which was not the look I was going for. And luckily got well, I did my undergrad in Flagstaff, Arizona, northern Arizona, and I got an email from a friend one day. He was like, hey, there's this band that comes through Flag all the time called the Motet. They're really cool, and they're looking. I got an email saying they're looking for a saxophone player. Like, you should audition. And I was like, okay, let me audition. Um, so sent them some stuff. They came through town. They came through New York, and I sat in with them, and then I like got the gig, essentially, and was like traveling between New York and Colorado for a while, and then moved to Colorado, and that got everything started for me.
So when you joined the Motet, you kind of went in there cold. Were you aware of their style at all when you're auditioning, or is this kind of just like, fuck, I need something right now?
No, yeah, I was aware of their style. Yeah.
Okay.
I had, well, they sent me like a live set, and
Okay.
it was a different time. So it was like they didn't have like I didn't have any of their music, but they sent me their music, and then I learned
Sure.
it all from them.
Okay.
Yeah.
And was that the first proper band you were ever a part of outside of like like a band in high school type setting?
I was in a band in college, a funk band called Short Bus, that
Okay.
we played around a good bit, and but that was the more first like professional touring type of thing. Like, I met up with them, we did a Halloween run in Colorado like they always do, and then we got in the this like airport shuttle thing that was super sketch, and just like took off on a 2 month tour across the United States. And I think it was like maybe the second gig, we did like a late night for String Cheese in like Huntsville, Alabama. And I sat in with Cheese for the first time. Then it was a whole, we played festivals for first festival I've ever played. It was a whole big experience, that first tour for me, that really got kind of my feet wet in the whole like what's happening with all this stuff, like with the music scene. And that was like what, like 2004 or 5. So it
Wow.
was like, you know, deep in there. I was a young blood.
Absolutely. Now I going back to, you mentioned cheese and um my first camping festival was Electric Forest in like
Nice,
2012 through
nice.
a bunch of those years, and saw you sit in with Jellyfish there,
Yeah,
and do some really awesome sit-ins with them.
yeah.
And that kind of brings me to where me and Scotty first got really familiar with you as a musician, which was through Big Gigantic. Scotty seeing you at the Lyric in Oxford,
Mhm.
me seeing you at the Canopy Club once a year
Yeah.
in Champaign. So talk us through kind of the precipice of Big G, right?
Yeah, yeah.
How did you and Jeremy meet and decide to form Big G?
Yeah, right. So yeah, so I was playing with the motet and all that was going, and as the Dave, the drummer, was like he, just had a kid and was like, okay, like I need to take some time. Like, I don't know how this is gonna go. Like, it was a little
This is Dave
uncertainty.
Watts, right?
Dave Watts, yeah, from the
Yeah.
motet. So it's just a little uncertainty in the band. And at that point, I was like, okay, I need to like start thinking about like I'm the only one who can control like my destiny, you know what I mean? So I should start figuring something out. And so yeah, so doing a lot of jazz stuff in Denver, I met Alex Botwin, who known as Paper
Paper
Diamond,
Diamond.
Pneuma Trio at that time, probably. Yeah.
Pneuma
Yeah.
Trio, right? So I met him, and oddly enough, we have the same birthday. He's like a guy who I could really relate with, grinder. Like we just like grind. Like he's on the MPC. He's on this program called Ableton. I'm writing like jazz songs. So we meet, and he's like, "Yeah, come over, like just play stuff, and I'll just like chop it up." And I just got really intrigued as someone who is writing songs that you could write songs on a laptop, on a computer. So I was like, and kind of started putting all this stuff together, and started writing these beats. Um, and yeah, long story short, I had like a weekly in Denver where me and this drummer would and a bass player would we would all make our own beats, and then we'd go to this every Tuesday night gig, and there'd be rappers and singers just lined up down the street from like out of town, in town, and they would just
Cool.
sing and rap over our beats every Tuesday for like 3 hours. And it was just like a fun little gig. So I'd make new beats and all this stuff. And this was when I was living with Jeremy. So Jeremy and I had, we were like roommates and had a bunch of mutual friends, and we were playing some random gigs around town and stuff. And at one point, um, it's a little cloudy, but this is like the sound STS 9 5 nights at the Boulder Theater and shit
Sure.
like that.
Two thousand seven.
Yep.
This is like,
Yep.
Yep.
yeah, 2007 probably, maybe even a little bit before that. But I think Numa was like opening up for them, I can't exactly put it all the pieces in the right place there. But there was a guy. So I was like starting to think like, okay, I have some songs. I met Jeremy. I was like starting to kind of, we like maybe we should do something together. And so we started like practicing some of these beats. And there was a kid who was putting on these after parties, Dave Sheldon,
Yeah.
euphonic
Yeah.
conceptions, right?
Yep.
Sure.
Euphonic conception. So I was like, Dave, like, I'm thinking about starting this new project. Will you like you know, put me on some shows if I start this thing? Like, and he's like, yeah, like I think people would be into it, et cetera, et cetera. So he put me on some shows and kind of got the thing rolling, and then met like I was friend of friends with David. And so then I met Dave, and he's the one who kind of, I think, was kind of like got us in there, like, hey, you should open up some shows and stuff like that. So David like got us kind of in there, and really just they just obviously the band put us on. I mean, that's how we got the whole beginning thing of I mean, we didn't even have music out, right? We had no
Yeah.
music out. None, no music out. Unheard of. You couldn't even do that today, right? No music out, and we're like going on tour, opening up for STS 9. It's wild.
Wow.
Mhm.
And obviously back then it was a totally different time, and it was so cool, and like just like it was just
Yeah,
such
the Jamtronica scene is like blooming at this
right,
point, right?
right, right.
Yeah.
Well, it's just starting, right?
Right.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's really what I want to know, because it's so easy for you to tell this story
Mhm.
like 20 years later, 18
Yeah,
years later,
yeah.
whatever. But I'm really curious kind of what your palette was for electronic music before this, because you're coming from a jazz world,
Yeah,
a
yeah, yeah, yeah,
classically trained world, a
yeah,
motet
yeah,
world, and then you just pop up in Colorado. I mean,
yeah.
Dude, and this is one thing that I really not to gas you up, but you're our guest, so let's gas you up. You've been in my life for so long that it's easy to kind of blow by the fact that you were one of the first people really doing this, and you have been kind of laying groundwork for so long. I just am curious, what was your musical palette like going into this like time of like hyper experimentation?
Right, right. Yeah. Well, again, like, the guys, at that time were really, there was nothing like that,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So it was just the most, coming out of the jam scene, which was the big, rock and stuff was like the big thing that was like everything was happening. And this was such a fresh take on it.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone was inspired by it. And for me it was like cool. I loved it so much because I was like, this is so cool because really, I mean, not only just the band but the fans. Everyone was just so uh accepting and cool and like just into something cool and different. And
Yeah.
going back to like when I stepped into the band room for the first time and I saw like 25 alto saxophone players and I saw three tenor saxophone players, I was like, cool, I'm gonna do that because that's
Yeah.
different. And that was where I was like, okay, like I could, I love jazz music and I love improvising, and I had been doing it for a while at that point. But this feels like I want to do something that no one's doing, and not there. I wasn't like really technically the only one. Well, I wasn't because STS9 was doing it, but, just how can we do something? How can I do something totally different? So it was intriguing in that, there's this fan base that's super accepting of new things, you
Mm-hmm.
know not so much tradition where the jazz scene, was a little more, the roots are a little more tradition style. It's a new sound. We were touching on that sound a little bit in the motet, so I was starting to get a little flavor of some of the synthesizers and different stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and it was me like going, I just want to do something totally different that is like that I can like call my own. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that was the intrigue there, and just it was just cool to, it was just such a cool time. It was like
Yeah.
we had 5 nights of Sound Tribe at the Boulder Theater. There was this tiny little club across the street, across this like little parking lot, and then across the street that held like 200 people, and it was like Bonobo was playing there, Pretty Lights was
Ugh.
playing over there, and it was like we were
Mm-hmm.
playing over there, and it was like doing these late nights, and it was like such a, and it was just like whatever, like it was just such a, it was such a cool time that it was
Sounds
so,
inspiring,
yeah,
honestly.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's social media wasn't like social media like it is now. It was very
Mm-hmm.
like, it was very just fresh and just, I don't know, it was really cool.
Not a cell phone in sight for sure.
Yeah.
So when was the first time you encountered STS9 live, and what struck you about what they were doing?
Well, I think I want to say it was the Boulder Theater. It may have been a festival, but I think it was the Boulder Theater. And it was just, just really getting to experience a live electronic band like that, and just the sheer wall of like sound and, musicianship and all those things like working together into something that sounded totally different than anything I'd ever heard. Um, just at the Boulder Theater, that's a super sweet place to see those guys too. So
What
Yeah,
do you
I mean
what do
that run goes down in history for sure.
yeah,
what do you remember about the first time you sat in with them? I mean, I know you just mentioned kind of finding yourself on stage with Cheese on your first Motet tour. Was it a
yeah,
similar
yeah.
situation there, or kind of, what how'd you get up there?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was again, it's like a David thing, where he's like invited me up and stuff. I can't remember the first song that we played together, but it was like really, I mean, everyone was so cool and so just like, warm and, come on up, and it's like no pressure, and we'll just like do the thing and do your best and get what you can, play what you catch what you can play, kind of thing. Like if you catch a line, cool. If not, no big deal. And obviously nerves, because, we're talking about like the hottest band around, at this time.
Hmm.
So, just wanted to kind of like, show up the right way and stuff like that. And it's really fun, and just felt like I had such a support system in terms of when you're playing with people that they're like, it's like a big pillow and you can just kind of land wherever you land, and you feel like you have that support. So that was super awesome. And then, I just remember it starting to weave into like when we did the like acoustic set, which was like
Oh yeah.
really, really
Yep.
special. Between 6th and 7th, I believe.
Yep.
You just walked us straight to our first clip.
Yeah, yeah. And it just, and it just got super cool, and just got to do a lot of stuff in that. I don't know, there was like 3 or 4 years, maybe 4 or 6 years. I can't remember exactly how long that spanned, but um, and then like Alana joined the band, and got to do a couple sit-ins, I believe, with her, and then we've done some stuff on the side. So it's been really fun to just see the evolution of the band, and get to experience it. And I love STS9. I love all of them, and just hold them, in the highest regard, and have such a special place in my heart for those guys, because obviously, them helping us out, and getting to play with them so much was such a beautiful experience. And yeah, it's just I don't get to talk to him as much as I would like to, these days. But every, I text Zach when, because we couldn't link up, but I text Zach when they were just in town to see if there was a possibility we could link up. But I love them, and obviously so much love and respect for them, and what they're doing, and they're an amazing band, and they continue to grow, and it's super cool to see.
Yeah, and the feelings mutual from the fan base. I mean, you were in STS9 royalty when it comes to
Man,
anything sit-in wise. So, like
that's
Scotty
cool.
said, you walked us into our first clip. So we're gonna start
Nice.
there for that Gates Opera Hall show for the between 6th and 7th here.
Nice. Oh yeah. Oh wow. Nice. Ooh. Wow. Man, this is awesome. we got to figure out how to run that back, man. What?
Hey Dom, hey man, what are you
Yeah.
doing on January 24th, 2026? Got any plans?
Well, that's a tricky day because it's my son's birthday. Why is that? Are they in
Oh,
Colorado
they
that day?
are at Gates.
Oh
They are
wow.
doing an Axe the Cable show at Gates. That is
Wow.
part of the 5 night run.
Wow. Okay.
Um,
Well,
that is just beautiful stuff to be involved in. I mean, that is
yeah.
probably the most famous STS9 recording that exists.
Wow.
It's its own album, right? Axe the
Yeah,
Cable is the
yeah.
first time they did that, right?
Yeah.
That's the beautiful side of things with you as an STS9 sit-in. Me and Scotty, when we came to know you, you were crushing Empire
Right, right.
right? That was a huge sit-in song with you. You opened for STS9 at both of our first STS9 shows. You played Empires at Congress
Yeah.
Theater in Chicago with them.
Nice.
So it's like a wide range of different types of songs you're sitting in with. Like,
Right.
talk about like the difference between playing a song like that with them as opposed to like a very heavy electronic track like an
Yeah.
Empires or something.
Yeah. Well, obviously, you can tell from like listening to that, the delicacy of that song and just really uh how you approach that, which was great, was cool for me because it could really lean into my jazz roots on stuff like that, and my saxophone inspirations, and the way playing those melodies and different stuff like that. And I mean, that's like that was so nice to hear that again. It's been a long time since I've heard that, and it would be really sick to do that again with those guys at some point. um and then, yeah, just the other stuff, definitely just more energy, and, empires, and a
Be
lot of this
nice.
those higher energy songs, is where I got a lot of my inspiration from, a couple of the first albums and stuff, more from, those kind of forms and melodies. And yeah,
So you're
just
talking up for like Fire It Up and Place Behind the Moon
yeah,
for some of the higher
yeah,
energy stuff. Yeah.
yeah, Wide Awake.
Hmm.
That stuff was like yeah, just those melodies, just kind of hitting those melodies. And then I felt like I had, a lot of room to just kind of improvise and really, with, jam bands and STS9 in general, is, a lot more runway to really, the goal was like, okay, cool, we're going to play the melody. Now there's this open section. And, the way I approach that stuff, really, whether it's with String Cheese or STS9 or any band where it's like, okay, we're in F, like it's open, here we go.
Hmm.
It's very like, my first thing is like, number one, I'm like, okay, I'm listening, like what's happening before I play, and like, oh, let me catch this rhythm, or let me catch whatever someone else did, and make that like a launching point for everything. And then just developing ideas and being able to, the objective is to really just build this thing, right? Because that's what the part of the whole jam thing is really kind of building those solos up and stuff like that, taking it to taking the band to a new place musically. So that's fun. I love that kind of stuff. So that in those songs, like Empire is more of a place where you can do you can approach it that way, than
Yeah.
a song like Sixth and Seventh, where it's more just like a, you're just presenting a beautiful.
Composition almost.
Yeah.
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 Hmm.
It made me think of I kind of deep dove did some research on you over the weekend, and it made me think of a interview I was listening to of you. You called yourself a jazz nerd at heart, and kind of
Right.
that that comes through so clearly in a song like Between Sixth and Seventh.
Sure.
Um, another area where you had another opportunity to kind of flex those jazz muscles a little bit more, was a little later, and you already mentioned her once, Alana.
Hmm.
When you did Wave Spell and when you got a chance to do the Bad Quartet.
Right.
Um, eh, Talk about that experience of kind of a little 2 or 3 pop-up show type deal. One, or I guess one in Denver and one in Wave Spell. How did that come together, and what was it like kind of doing a project with Alana?
Well, Alana is a ridiculous bass player. So, and I had known about her from Jeff Coffin, who's my buddy,
Hmm.
who plays sax with Dave Matthews Band, and he used to play with Bela Fleck and stuff. Um, so it's cool when she moved to town, and and then Adam Deitch, right? Is
Hmm.
Adam Deitch in the band as well?
Yeah,
Um,
Borum, you, Alana, and Adam.
yep, yep. So, yeah, I love playing with all those people. I now have a band with Borum, Adam, Benny Bloom from
Hmm.
Lettuce, and this kid Hunter who lives here in town, Butterfly Quintet, and
Hmm.
that's another project where we stretching out on some more jazzy hip hop electronic stuff, heavy improvising. But it was a similar thing where we were just trying to with the bad quartet, just trying to branch out, play with some people who we don't get to play with very often. And Alana had just moved to town pretty recently, so it was a great opportunity to try to get in some different music with her and with Adam and Borum too, because we played a little bit here and there over the years, but hadn't really got to like dig into some music. So it was great. But yeah, that was kind of my first one of my first more experiences getting to play with Alana. But she's nasty, as you all know that. So
Oh yeah, no, yeah. Some of the other big highlights are the marching band sit-in at Wakarusa for that
mm,
Come Why, where you and
right,
Jeremy were up there.
right,
That was great. I remember you guys playing a Butterfly by Herbie Hancock at
yeah,
Wavespell.
yeah,
You seem like a big Herbie Hancock guy. Is
yeah.
that a big inspiration for you as
Ab-
well?
Absolutely, absolutely. Big, heavily inspired by Herbie Hancock, and we did some stuff in the motet. We did some covers, and then we would always do here in Colorado. We always did a Herbie Hancock tribute every year, usually every year, for a while there with Dave Watts from the motet, Joey Porter from the motet, who's really
Hmm.
embodies that Herbie Hancock sound and the talk box and all that stuff. So, yeah, heavily influenced by that stuff, no doubt.
Hell yeah. Well, getting back to that Wave Spell event, that Belden Town event, one
Yeah,
of our favorite kind of moments that you had in that era, outside of the Quartet, was the was this sit-in you had on the last night of Wave Spell 2018. So we'll get
yeah,
into that real quick and kind of
nice,
unpack it after that.
nice.
Tell me this isn't a Christmas song.
Key change.
Hunter Brown.
Dom,
Sick.
like
Wow.
the places you help bring them, or it has just been so incredible over the past
Thanks.
what almost 20 years at this point. Um, and what STS9 fans enjoy about your sit-ins is that with other sit-ins that might come together a little bit last minute or something like that, it can be a little bit clear that whoever's sitting in with them isn't as familiar with the songs and familiar with the catalog. You can tell that with you, there's a familiarity, or at least it's coming off that way with the
Yeah, I
catalog.
was gonna say this song right here in particular,
Yeah.
like I kind of remember playing it like this, like we did some stuff together, like we did a handful of songs that I'm like, okay, I know these songs. That one, I think, I mean, if I remember correctly, they were like, here's the song right before we went on and did it, like,
Yeah.
and just went over it really quick and then went and did it. Um,
Because you did
because
Grow during the first set, and you're familiar with that one,
right,
right? Like,
we had
yeah.
done that a good bit, some of the other ones. So this one, I remember it being a little more on the fly, but man, it was I like that's a sick tune. Do they play that a
Hmm.
lot still?
It's a little bit more rare for sure.
Okay, because I wonder if like that did they play it before that time? Was it a new song for them at that point,
That
or
No,
no,
very
that
really
that
really old
was
song. Yeah.
it was an old
yeah,
one?
it
God,
anytime a 986 pops up, it's a special occasion.
cool,
I
cool.
wouldn't say it's a song that's ever gone completely dormant, but it's one
Right.
that you might be good for every 2 years or so,
That's a
3 years.
sick tune. It's a
Um,
Hmm.
very sick tune.
But
yeah,
yeah, I mean, you did
We
it
gotta run
justice
it
there.
back, man. I gotta be like, yeah, let's do.
hey, if we can be the catalyst that gets you fired up to make that phone call and make that happen,
Yeah.
our job here is already done.
Oh man.
Um, obviously we could do the STS9 thing forever. We do. This is what we do when you're not
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
That being said, the goal of the artist series it has always been to, spotlight the artist's own music as well as what they do with STS9.
Sure.
So kind of segueing into Big Gigantic for our
Yeah.
last little bit,
Yeah.
and also kind of keying off of what we just listened to. I am
Sure.
curious, how has the balance between songs, like structured songs, and
Yeah.
improvisation, like you clearly are so comfortable in as well, how has
Right.
that kind of evolved within Big Gigantic in a live setting over the years?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, definitely, it's changed a bunch. It went from, the more jamming stuff, to really more songwriting and then
Hmm.
like stringing all these songs together, sort of in a DJ-ish format, with sneaking these like solo sections in and it's definitely not as like, it's not like totally open, it's like
Sure.
I set it up, to be like 32 measures and stuff like that. And I'm I'm happy with the way it's intentional, obviously, because I write all the music and I get all the sets together and I do all that stuff. So, it's intentional. And I love the way the band has evolved. And even like, well, this past year at Red Rocks, our third, STS9 has been
13th
around a
year.
long time. Our
Huh.
13th year
Yeah.
doing,
Crazy.
headlining Red Rocks, which is like completely insane. Um, but this year we got to do something where we did a Bring the Funk Back set, which is basically, we played Sky High, we played a bunch of the older stuff and really like got into the jamming stuff that we used to do, which was really fun. And then, we just put in a new album out this summer. So we
Yeah.
had, a lot of stuff from our new album and some of our more popular albums had a lot of special, like a lot of guests to perform the songs
Prob
live.
cause you have in there, I'm sure.
Prob
Yeah.
Cause came, yeah, and a lot of people who were on our who were featured on our album came out and sung their parts and stuff like that. So we really got to have the juxtaposition of like the very first stuff to all the current stuff and get to do it all. And that's what's cool about it for me is that now between the first stuff like the Bring the Funk Back set we did, and then last year we played the Newport Jazz Festival with a live band and
Sure.
just completely live. I took all the music, rearranged it all for a full live band. Um, you know, uh, Horns, piano, guitar, bass, drums. Did that. We did a show with the Symphony, Colorado Symphony, a couple of years ago, where I had worked with a guy who rearranged all the songs we did for the symphony. So we have such a wide-ranging thing where we can play literally anything, from a EDC or whatever, Electric Forest, all the way down to like a real intimate show with a symphony or, an intimate show at a club and play these songs and just do it all. Because I think that's the thing with me is, I don't want to just do one thing, I like maybe it's to a fault even. But I love doing all of it, and I'll continue to try to do all of it because I love it all for different reasons, and I love being able to do it all and have that flexibility where I can, work in my world and do as many different things as I can.
Well, I mean, you guys have been on fire this year. The new album, Fluorescence, is incredible stuff.
Thank you, thank you.
Really, really cool. And I want to share one of the songs from that. You actually just a week and a half ago just dropped a big collab with Charlie Tuna and
Yep,
Funk Hunters as well. Beat
yep,
Don't
yep,
Stop. So
yep, yep.
seems like a big time for Big G right now because I think there used to be a little bit more space between some new music from you guys, but the live thing has always been, a huge thing for you guys as well, just because
Right.
of who you are as a performer and as a duo. But really wanted to share this song because I think it's a great example of what you talked about, of the juxtaposition of the new sound of Big G and the old sound of Big G. And
Mhm.
this track in particular really stuck out to us.
Yeah, love this.
It's my favorite song on the album.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Let's go, dog. Yo,
Yeah.
if
Yes, sir.
if
Yes,
if
sir.
that's what Big G's been up to. If you haven't been tuned in for a little bit, our STS9 crowd, but man, how we feeling after the album release? And I know you guys
Yeah.
are kind of in the midst of finishing up the tour supporting that album too. So how's
Yeah.
the energy?
It feels good. Yeah, that I just like to say, that song, yeah, is definitely I feel like a culmination of like all of it for me. You know what I mean? Like from the early stuff to the more current stuff, the sax solo, the jam, the like build, and just really piecing all that together. I'm super proud of this album because I felt like it turned out really well, and when you've been doing it, as long as I have, it's not everything's gonna be, not everything hits the same way,
Yeah.
and I
Right.
feel like, there's ups and downs, and I definitely feel like this album was like a real high note in terms of production and just the way, the aesthetic of the album, the art, just the way everything rolled out, and this song in particular is such a good like middle ground for like all of the different variety in this album because there's some heavy, super heavy stuff, and there's some really beautiful stuff. So
There's some house music
some
type
house
stuff on
music
there. Yeah.
stuff, which and so yeah, to kind of finish your question, tour's been going great. We're like halfway through it. Um, great energy, and I just it's so satisfying to hear. Um, you know, like I've been coming to your shows for a long time. I don't make it out of the house. I got kids, this, that, et cetera, et cetera. Been coming to a lot of your shows, and this is really the best I've seen you guys perform. This is the best show I've seen, a big gigantic, because at this point we have people who've been seeing a lot of us,
Yeah.
so it's great to hear that because I'm always working hard to try to get better, as a musician myself and a writer of songs and a producer and of the whole thing, and just to create a better experience and how can I like, keep growing and stuff like that. So tour is going great and we're having a really good time and it's just super fun and yeah, and as far as new music, I mean, we just released a new song last week. We have another new song coming out next week. I mean, every couple weeks we're gonna have a song coming out here for the next month. So, and a lot of cool stuff lined up. So, and then I'm like back in studio mode where I'm just like writing something new every night or every day and working on that. So it's a good time, man. I'm happy. I got a great family. I have a beautiful kid and life is good, man. I can't complain, man.
I do have one question that
Yeah,
I
yeah.
just thought of,
Yeah, yeah.
and I know we're
You're
we're,
good,
we're
you're
kind of getting
good,
on your time right.
you're good.
Um, on the note of being a dad, I'm also a dad. I've got a 23-month-old, and he's
Nice,
turning.
congratulations.
Thank you, man. Thank you. It's honestly, I could fucking talk about that shit for way longer
Yeah.
than I could talk about
No
STS9
doubt,
because
no
it's
doubt.
it's my favorite thing I've ever done.
Yeah,
I am curious about that actually
yeah,
because I mean, Dom, you're a completely different person than you were 20 years ago, and
sure.
yet
Yeah.
you are still finding that drive to create music
Mhm,
and to be
mhm.
fresh. And I mean, you said
Yeah,
not everything hits the same, but I mean, you look around you, and I'm sure most of the people that were around you 20 years ago are no longer doing this anymore. And
right, right.
I I guess specifically with being a dad, how has that kind of changed your perspective on touring? Has it made you
Sure,
be more intentional with the time you take away from your kid? Has it made you not want to do it as much? What is your
sure, sure.
relationship with touring and parenting kind of become as you
Yeah,
become a
definitely gets earlier on when he was like really young, it was different. And also that was like COVID time, so no one was touring at all. So
sure,
it was kind of the perfect time for
lucky,
all of
nice,
that to go on. But now, he's 6 now and yeah, it's different, of course, and it's different one because I have a family at home and two because I've toured a lot, right?
sure,
So it's like I love playing live, but also, yeah,
right,
it's tricky being away from the family as well, and now my kid, like, this over this run has been a little more vocal about, like, "You're leaving again?" Like, "Ah,"
right.
and it's like, "Oh, man," like,
I'm sure it's like
obviously, I
removing an
wish you could
organ. I'm
come to
sure,
everything, but you're
yeah.
in 1st grade and, like, you gotta do your thing. But, that being said, it's always about finding a balance, right? Um,
Hmm.
but, I it's like I said before, it's like I love to do it all, so it's a little
Yeah,
tricky, because I love to be out playing shows, do I wanna be, like, on a tour bus for, like, 2 weeks or a month or no, definitely not. You
right.
know, do playing weekends and stuff like that, that's fun, that's cool.
Yeah.
Um, do I wish my family could be there the whole time with me? yeah, that would be amazing. But that's not a reality. So, it's always about finding a balance, and as is everything in life, But but yeah, it's what I do, and
Yeah,
I'm gonna be creating till like the day I die. So I will always create, whether I create and then go perform it live or just create or whatever. I'll always be creating because I just
sure.
love doing that. So, it's just part of my everyday thing.
Hmm.
So I just have fun doing that, enjoy my family, be in the present moment, be gracious and grateful for everything that I have, because I know um I've been lucky to experience a lot and get to do a lot of things. And I just feel really grateful and lucky that I've been able to experience all those things, and, just try to not take advantage uh, of that, and just always be in the moment with the things that I'm doing, and just try to keep creating more special experiences along the way, you know.
Well,
I'm with
Dom,
that.
thank you for creating a special moment here for us in the show and hopping on. You're the guy that inspired me to buy my first grassroots
Let's
hat.
go,
This one
dude.
right
Let's
here.
go. Yes,
Came back
that's a
came
good
back
one.
from Electric Forest 2012 with this and a physical copy of Nocturnal
That's amazing.
that we got on the
So
way
wait, the
home.
inside of
Yeah.
that hat is, let me see the inside of that hat.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
it's just
sick.
like
Okay, cool.
a
Yeah, yeah.
black and white
Yeah.
design. Yeah.
Very nice.
I think I had the purple version of that one. It
Yeah, there was
was
a
Sick.
black one and a purple
Sick.
one,
yeah.
but
Love it.
um
Love it,
no
Dom.
man, this has been awesome. Thank you for joining us. Yeah, like Dom said, they're in the middle of the Florence tour. Shows coming up. They'll be in Texas this weekend. It's Stubbs in Austin, and then
Yeah.
a big dramatic show,
Yeah, yeah.
man,
Fuck
in
yeah.
Dallas.
That's some good stuff right there too.
And then coming through the Midwest at some really cool venues at the Sylvia in Madison the following weekend, the Salt Shed here in
Oh, shit.
Chicago, which is
Yep.
awesome.
Hmm.
And then finishing up things up in the East Coast at in Brooklyn and Washington D.C. So
Yeah.
check them out. Check out the recent album and the recent single. It sounds like we'll have a lot more new music on the way. So Dom,
Yeah.
chest
Appreciate it so
pads.
much, guys. Thanks for having me, man. It was a
Thank
pleasure.
you, sir.
Yeah.
Absolutely.